Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nambita Mangala. I'm the chair of the day for this session. I would like to take this opportunity firstly to welcome you all and thank you at the same time for taking your time and join us in our workshop. This time around is our second workshop. As you all know, that Emerging Librarian, it's a new phase. Now we've phased out the building process. Now the foundation we are building now, we are constructing as we are social cohesion in trying to be in line with the LIASA's 2024 slogan. Therefore, allow me to take this opportunity and welcome you officially in our second event, where Mr. Mojalepo, our current 2023-2024 emerging librarian, will going to take us through the computing workshop. So with this workshop, we are trying to emerge the BBC so that they can operate as BAC. You might ask yourself, what is BBC? BBC are those people like me, born before computer, but they operate like born after computer. So we want you to be emerged because you are emerging librarians. We believe in embracing technology. We believe working together towards the future is the best option to embrace technology. Let me introduce Mr. Mojalepo, who's going to take us through the computing essential. Mr. Mojalepo, you can take over. Thank you. And before I give it to him, just the house rules. Please keep your mic on mute as well as your camera throughout the session. We will allow you question and answers where you want to know further, where you want clarity, where you don't understand. And secondly, you can also type in the chat your question, your burning questions. We will attend them. Thank you. You can take over, Simon. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first thank LIASA for giving us this opportunity so that we can showcase our workshops. So without any waste of time, let's get started. I want to also thank Nevada for the opportunity given to me so that I can share this workshop with you. My name is Mr. Simon Mujapilo. Please confirm if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you so much. So my name is Mr. Mujapilo, LS. LS is my initials, Lisiba Simon. So this workshop is Computing Essentials, a beginner's workshop for librarians. So we welcome you in this workshop, and our workshop is specifically tailored for librarians who are new to the computing world, or those who have been using computers but they were finding it difficult to go through the computer. So this workshop is for you. So we want to improve your computer skills for library management and also to improve your personal computing abilities so that we can do our service delivery. We can share our service delivery without any difficulties. So let's get started. What is a computer? I know some of you might be asking yourselves, what is a computer? When you say a computer, what are we talking about? So a computer, we're talking about an electronic device. Remember, a computer is an electronic device, and this electronic device, it is capable of transforming our data into information. And remember, data, when we talk of data, we're talking about something that does not have any meaning. So data does not have any meaning, and we are transforming it into information. And the moment you transform it into information, then it means it now has meaning. So a computer comprises of software and the hardware components. So the software and the hardware components, it is what constitute a computer. So there are some components that are used to manage our computers. Number one, we have our monitor, we have our keyboard, we have our mouse, as well as our CPU. I'm still gonna explain each one of them in details. So our workshop has been classified with various themes. And the theme number one is deconstructing computers and exploration of their components and functionality. So this is our first theme. And on our first theme, we are getting into the hardware. What is a hardware? I know some of you, when we say hardware, what comes to your mind is that place where you can buy your building material. But here we are addressing a software in a computer language. What is a hardware? So a hardware, we're referring to a computer component that you can see, a computer component that you can touch, and their combination is what constitutes a computer system. So examples of the hardware we're referring to, the RAM, we also have your motherboard, we also have your CPU. A CPU simply refers to central processing unit. And a motherboard, I know some of you might be confused when I say motherboard. A motherboard is one computer component within a CPU, which all the components are connected to it. We call it a motherboard. So this is our hardware. And then now we also have our software. So some they call the software the application, some they call them the programs, but they still mean the same thing. So when we talk of a computer software, we're talking about an application that runs a computer. An application that runs a computer, or a program that runs a computer, or a software that runs a computer. For example, we have your Microsoft Office Suite Productivity, which includes various applications within it. For example, you have your Microsoft Word, you have your Microsoft PowerPoint, you have your OneDrive, you have your Microsoft Excel. So each and every computer application, it is designed for a specific use. For example, if you open Microsoft Word, it's either you're going to type your reports in your library or you're going to format your report. And when you open Microsoft PowerPoint, this is the one that I'm using. Microsoft PowerPoint, we use it to do what? To run our presentations. We also have our Excel. You cannot open Microsoft PowerPoint if you want to calculate your monthly statistics. You only use Excel to run what? Your calculations. So Excel is designed for running calculations. We have OneDrive. OneDrive is one of the cloud storage that we are using nowadays. Remember, back in the days, we used to use our floppy disk. Some they used to call them the flippy disk. But now we are, as technology advances, we are now using the cloud too for our documents to store our files. So we are no longer using the floppy disk. We are also phasing out the use of the USBs. We are phasing out the use of saving our documents into the CDs. So we are now moving toward the cloud storage. Then within a computer, we have the input devices. We also have what you call the input devices. And remember, if we have the input devices, it means we also have what? The output devices. So here, let's discuss the input devices. So the input devices are hardware components of a computer system that allows users to input data or commands into the computer. So these input devices, we use them to insert data into our computers or to input data into our computers. And remember, a computer won't do anything if you do not instruct it to do something. If you don't instruct your computer to do this, it won't do it. So we put the commands. So in other words, we command this machine to do something. If I command it to say, at this time, I want to do the presentations, I command it to do what? To run the presentation at this time. Hence, I'm running these presentations. So these devices enable communication between the user as well as the computer. So these input devices, they are the ones that enable communication between the device, the electronic device, as well as who? The user. So this type of input devices, we also have your mouse, we have your keyboard, you have your scanner, you have your joystick. So the moment, let's say, for example, I open Microsoft Word, and then I want to type in my report, and then I start pressing my keyboard. I start pressing my keyboard to do what? To write my monthly statistics. In other words, I'm now inputting data into my electronic device. I'm inputting data using my what? My keyboard as an input device. And I'm inputting data into my machine. And at the end of the day, I will have what? My report. Number two, we have the output devices. So it says the output devices are components of a computer system that present data or information generated by the computer to the user. So after inputting your data, remember you were inputting your data using your keyboard. And then now there are output devices. The output devices, they help us to see what we are doing. To process, after processing that data, now we do have what? We have the information. So examples of the output devices, we have our monitors. Our monitor is the screens that we are using to see what we are doing. So it is outputting what the commands that we're doing or the data that we're inserting into our computer. Then now we are using what? We are using the monitor to see what we're doing. So these devices convert electronic data into a form that humans can perceive or they can understand. So let's say, for example, you are done using you're done typing your report. Then now you want to say, okay, I want to submit this report. And your manager says, the report must be printed out. So printer is an example of what? An output device, because you are taking out information from an electronic machine into, now it is in a form that a humans can understand. And then after printing out that information, you take it to who? To your manager. You understand? So that is how the output devices works. Then we are going to explore now the essentials computing components. Number one, we have our monitor. A monitor looks more like your TV in your homes. It's more like your TV. The monitor is also known as a display screen. Some they call it a display screen. It is a visual output device that show the user information and graphics generated by computer software. So we use the monitor to track our cases on an electronic device. So whatever you are doing using your computer, everything will be displayed on your what? On your monitor. So we have the examples which include the LED monitors, we have the LCD monitors, and we have the curved gaming monitors. So these are some of the examples of the monitors that we have nowadays. And then we have your keyboard. Your keyboard. I know on our keyboard there are some keys we never press because we fear to embrace technology at our workplaces. There are some keys you were employed for quite some time, but you never touched them. Why? Because you don't know how to operate them. So a keyboard is another input device used to entering text and commands into the computer. It consists of keys representing letters, numbers, symbols, and functions key that allows users to input data and control various functions of a computer program. So we use our keyboard in order for us to do what? To type. We use our keyboard to insert our numbers. We use our keyboard to insert our symbols. And sometimes people are surprised when we say you can still operate your computer without a mouse. You just use your keyboard. There are countless what do you call it, the shortcuts that you can use to do what? To run your computer using the keyboard. So you use the what? The keyboard to perform the shortcuts. We also have our mouse, the one that I'm using now. Can you see the red dotted dot that it's navigating on your screen? I'm using what? My mouse to navigate. So the mouse is an input device which allows users to control the movement of a cursor on the screen. Click on the icons, select text, and perform other actions. So remember, back in the days, we used to have what you call a wheel mouse. Now we have what we call an optical mouse. So a wheel mouse is this mouse that used to have a wheel underneath, not a red a sensor underneath. The mouse that we're using today, it has a red sensor underneath. But back in the days, we used to have that one which has a wheel underneath. So we're navigating using that wheel. But as technology grows, now we are navigating using the sensors. So the problem with a wheel mouse was that as time goes on, you have to open your mouse and then you clean that wheel and then you insert the wheel back and then the mouse will function properly. But now we are using the sensors. Even your cordless mouse that you're using today is still an optical mouse. An optical mouse, it is this one which has what? A red light underneath. So we also have the right click and the left click. We also have the wheel which we use to navigate around our computer system. And then now we have what we call the CPU. The CPU. I know some now most institutions are opting for this two-in-one, which is comprises of a monitor and a CPU at the same time. So they no longer opt for these computers whereby you buy a monitor aside, you buy a CPU aside, and then your keyboard as well as your mouse. But now they opt for this two-in-one built-in a monitor which has what? A CPU in it. So a CPU is a central processing unit, is the primary component of a computer. Given that it handles the majority of the processing duties necessary for a computer to operate, it is frequently referred to as the brain of the device. So remember, everything that we are plugging on our machine, we use the CPU to play. Let's say, for example, you want to insert your USB. So you're going to insert it where? On your CPU. If you want to plug your mouse, you're going to plug it on your CPU. If you want to plug your keyboard, you're going to plug it all on your CPU. Even if you want to plug your, what do you call the scanner that you're using to scan the library books, you are still going to plug it where? On the CPU. And remember, within the CPU, we have what you call the motherboard. So everything is connected to what? The motherboard. If you plug your scanner, it is connected to the motherboard. There is a port which is connected to what? The motherboard. Your fan, your computer fan, it is connected to the motherboard. So that is why it is called what? A motherboard. And then now we are unraveling computer functionalities. We are going to look into the inputs, outputs, as well as the commands. So it says diverse data interactions in computer systems. Computer systems are designed to interact using various forms of data. So when you're using a computer system, it forms an interaction between what? A user as well as the computer. So it uses various data. For example, we have your type data. And remember, I said each and every computer program, it is designed for a specific use. We have your typed data. We can use your typed data to do what? You use Microsoft Word to address your typed data. We have your audio data, such as your voice notes. We have your video data, like your movies. When it comes to video data, you can still use the VLC as one of the programs to open your video data. And then different software programs are tailored to handle specific types of data. For instance, we have the Microsoft Word. It processes what? The written text. We have the what? The internet data, which we use Google Chrome to do what? To manage the internet data. We have your YouTube, which handles what? The video content. So it is the video data that we can use YouTube as an application to do what? So that we can process our video data. And then when it comes to taking out information from your computer, there are various ways of getting information out of your computer. You can print out that document. You can copy it to your USB drive. You can send it to your email. You can still share it to your cloud storage so that you can access it over the internet. So there are many ways of getting data out of your computer. There are many ways. And then, like I said, human-computer interactions, commands and responses. So like I mentioned before that A computer cannot do something that you did not command it to do. It is more similar to a car. If you get into a car and then you just sit, there won't be any movement because you are just sitting. I'm not referring to these cars that you have to put a brick next to the tire so that it doesn't allow any movement. And if it allows any movement, then it will start rolling. I'm referring to the cars that we are using today. Ne? So a computer, it is more like a car. If you do not command it to do something, it won't do anything. It will just stand there and do nothing. I know sometimes when we are finding it difficult to do some of the tasks using our computers, we end up blaming the computer. You'll find someone saying, hey, now my computer cannot project. I know I've been using this computer for quite some time. It cannot project. Only to find that that individual cannot run the presentation, cannot project the presentation. It is the inability of us that usually leads us to say a computer cannot do this. We are now limiting the computer based on our abilities. We say a computer cannot do this because it is us who are unable to do that. So we end up blaming the computer. So a computer cannot do something that you did not command it to do. So before a computer can do anything, you must command to say, open Microsoft Word. Then you open Microsoft Word. The moment you open Microsoft Word, it won't start typing. It must be you who must start typing. It must be you who must format that word processing. So it is more like a car. And then understanding the taskbar. Understanding the taskbar. So when we talk of a taskbar, we are referring to this line underneath underneath your screen. This is the taskbar. It is more like your table. A taskbar, it is more like an electronic table. So how do we use a taskbar? So the moment you open a program, let's say, for example, you open Microsoft Word. When you open Microsoft Word, the Microsoft Word icon, it will come here on the taskbar to indicate that this program is open. And for you to know that the program is now currently running, it will have what? This blue line underneath. Underneath there, the program. It will have this blue line underneath. And then you might be asking yourselves, why are these other programs don't have the blue line underneath? The reason they don't have the blue lines underneath, it is because they have been pinned to the taskbar. So the moment you pin an application to the taskbar, it will stay here. And we usually pin this application that we are using more frequently. Let's say, for example, every time when I get to work, I must do the reports. And I do the reports using Microsoft Excel. So when I do the reports using Microsoft Excel, then it means it's safe for me to do what? To pin Excel to the taskbar so that I can access it easily. Every time when I switch on my computer, Excel will display here. Then I can still open it. Can you see? Now I have the Acrobat here. It doesn't have what? The blue line underneath. Then it simply says this open is this software. It is not currently in use. It is now pinned to what? To the taskbar. But if you check the Chrome here, the Chrome has what? The blue line here. It means what? It is now running. You check your weight here. It also has the blue line. It means what? It's running. You also have your PowerPoint, which indicates that it is currently running because of what? The blue line underneath. Then navigating windows. Remember, we are using computer language. When I say Windows, I'm referring to this, to the three-dimension stacks here. This is what I refer to when I say Windows, not your physical window. And remember, when we talk of a computer Windows, we are referring to these things here. So it says Windows represents open programs on your screen, arranged in a three-dimensional stacks. So these are the things that I'm talking about. So sorry, a computer is able to open these windows simultaneously. They can work. You can even open 6 of them. They can still work perfectly fine. So that's why we have what? We have them in dimensional forms. So if I want to access this one, I just click this one, and then this one will come over the one that I'm opening now. Then I start working on this one. Then when I'm done, I can still click on this one. then I start working on this one. So the moment you click this one, it will be the one which is active. And then you work on it. And then after you can click this one and it becomes active, then you work on this one. Then navigating the file system. Because I know when you open our computers, you find our computers like this. People just save their files like this. You just save like this, and then when you continue to save like this, it will be difficult for you to access your files because they are just scattered around. Remember, this is more like your electronic cabinet. Agree, we have your physical cabinet in your offices whereby you print out information and then you store it in files. I know most of the employers, they buy us these files whereby we label them at the spine of the file, and then we say reports, we say outreach programs, we say monthly stats, whichever name that you're giving that file. And then in that file, then you start to save your work that you're using. You print out the information and then you start saving it in your what? In your files. And then there is a cabinet at the corner of your office. That's where you're going to put your files there. But now we are having an electronic cabinet. This is our electronic cabinet that we are using now. Then you might be asking yourself, what are these circles referring to? We have the red circle here. This is your file, more like the one that is being purchased by your employer. This is your file. This is my file. And I named my file what? Capricorn High School. This is the name of my file. And then I also have the document that I'm working on. This is the report that I was working on. After working on this report, let's say, for example, I am employed in this school here. Each and every file that I open that is related to this school, I can still save it in under this file. And what I love about the electronic file is that even under this file, you can also create another file. So you can open this file and then create the second file so that you can classify your work properly. You can find that within this file, you have your file for reports, and you also have a file for monthly statistics. You have a file for your patrons. Maybe if you have the demographic information of your patrons, and then you have your file, you can still create a specific file for them. And then again, we have this one, which with a purple circle. It is called, a zip folder. Some they call it a compressed folder. So we use this zip folder in order to compress the size of what? Our files within it. And if, let's say, for example, you want to send an email. I know some of you, if you want to send an email, they say send from here up until here. You just copy these things here and these files here, and then you attach them to an email, then you send them. So when you use the zip folder, you create a zip folder and then you copy everything, you save it in a zip folder, then you send the zip folder as it is. Then the receiver will receive this as a zip folder. The moment they open the zip folder, that's where they are going to find what? All these things. They are now arranged properly in a what? In a zip folder. For example, if you are applying for an employment, I know some of you just attach your CV aside, your qualifications, and you find that is your degree, your matric, your diploma, your voluntary participation certificate, or whatever. You send them, you don't combine them, you just send them like this to the employer. You understand? And sometimes you find that most institutions, they only accept only 5 megabytes of the size. So you use the zip folder to do what? To compress the size of what? These files. You use the zip folder to compress these files to your desirable size. Then now we are exploring the cloud computing essentials, something that is new into the LIS sector, the cloud computing essentials. So let's start with the cloud computing essential. It says it involves utilizing a network of remote servers hosted on the internet. For what? For storing, for managing, for processing data, as opposed to relying solely on local server or personal computer. Then we have the cloud computing, which we use, which is something that is hosted on the internet. It is something that is hosted on the internet. So for you to access this, you must be connected to what? To the internet. You must be connected to the internet in order to do what? To store your files, to manage your file, to process your data. So we use the cloud computing. So in the LIS sector, cloud computing offers various deployment options to enhance service delivery and resource management. Understanding these options is essential for libraries to optimize their digital infrastructure and provide efficient service to their patrons. So we can use the cloud to do what? To improve our service delivery. We enhance technology in our libraries in order to improve what? The services that we are offering. Now let's get into the cloud computing. So we have the types of cloud. Number one, our first one is what? The public cloud. We have the public cloud as one of the types of that. One of the types of the cloud that we are having. So a public cloud, it is accessible to anyone. Anyone can access a public cloud. The example is the Dropbox that I know you are currently using. Some of us, we are not even aware that a Dropbox is one of the clouds that we are using. We are just using it for the sake of, we are using it more like our USBs. So it is accessible to anyone. It is a public cloud. It can be accessed by anyone. And if it is accessed by anyone, we start to question what? Its security. Can we use this something that can be accessed by anyone in our workplaces? This is a question that you might be asking yourself. Well, we're still going to get to that. Another example is what? The Amazon Web Services, which is another example of what? A public cloud. So it is ideal for cost-effective scalability as well as flexibility in managing online catalogs, digital archives, as well as collaborative tools. So this one, it is cost-effective. The cost for subscribing to a public cloud, you find that they don't cost much. Others are even free to use them. Then we also have what? The private cloud. So the private cloud, let me give you an example. Okay, with the private cloud, let's say you are library A. As a library A, you go to you go to Vox as an example of a private cloud services that they are offering. You give them your specification. You say, on our cloud, this is what we are looking for. These are the things that we are looking for. Then you start to do what? To give the Vox as a service provider your needs, your library needs, to say this should be included. And what I love about the private cloud is that it offers a great control of security and security over sensitive data. So you can say to Vox to say, our information which is stored on your infrastructure, it should work like this. Number one, information must be accessed by those who are members or the employees of this institution. If you are an employee of this institution, as the institution, they are going to give you what? The credentials in order to sign into the private cloud so that you can access information from the private cloud. If you're not a member of that institution, there is no way you can access that. Then that's where the security comes in. Can you see? If, let's say, for example, myself as Simon, I'm employed by institution A, and then I log in, it means it will leave a trace that Simon logged into this and Simon managed to download this, or Simon started formatting this document. You understand? Then it is designed specifically for that institution. It is managed by that institution. So it offers great control as well as security. For example, if you save your patrons' data on the cloud, then it means it can only be accessed by people working for that institution. It cannot be accessed by outsiders. So your information there, it is now safe. And then we have the hybrid cloud. So when we talk of a hybrid cloud, we're talking about the combination of both the public as well as the private cloud. So now they are coming together. You say we are using the hybrid cloud. But what I love about the hybrid cloud is that you can use a public a cloud for a specific use, and you can also use the private cloud for specific use. So you are using these two clouds in order for you as a librarian to manage the content that is there. So it enables libraries to manage sensitive data locally while leveraging the scalability and cost effectiveness of public cloud services for other operations. So let's say, for example, you don't want to pay for something that you're not using. Then you can still opt for that. For what? For the public cloud as an institution. But if for sensitive data such as the demographic information of your users, you can use what? The private cloud. You understand? So that is how a hybrid cloud works. It is just a combination of both the public as well as what? The private cloud. And then we have these things under the types of a cloud. We have the platform as a service. We also have the software as a service. For example, platform as a service, they call them the PaaS and the SaaS. Platform as a service, it allows libraries to build and manage application without worrying about building an infrastructure. So a library goes to a already established or existing infrastructure, and then they start building based on what their needs. We have the software as what? As a service. Access software applications via the web without installation hassle. So let me give an example with the University of Limpopo. Let me just use the University of Limpopo because it is my current employer. If you go to the University of Limpopo library and then you open, University of Limpopo, and then you go to library, and then under library, you go to databases. And then after going to databases, it will give you a list of databases that the University of Limpopo has subscribed to. And the moment you go to all those list of databases, you don't have to install, let's say, for example, you want to use Science Direct. You don't have to install that Science Direct into your computer. You don't have to worry about downloading Science Direct into your computer. No, you just key in your credentials. Then you are now able to do what? To access what? A Science Direct. You access it what? Where? Over the internet. You don't download that software. You only access it over the internet. So it provides libraries with easy access to essential software tools such as library management systems, such as digital content platforms, and collaborative systems. So you find that now the university has subscribed to various databases, countless databases, but as a user or as a student of that institution or an employee of that institution, you can access all those databases without worrying about downloading that database. Now the university has subscribed to what? To that database, and when you come there as what? As a user, but because you are linked to that institution, you now have what? Access to do what? To access that type of institution. That type of database. So I believe now you are able to understand a computer as an electronic device, which is capable of transforming data into information. You are now able to identify the hardware components. You are now able to explore the inputs as well as the outputs and the commands for effective interaction with computer systems. You are now able to use the taskbar in your daily basis. You are now able to open programs simultaneously and do whatever that you want to do. You are now able to see your computer as something that you can have your electronic cabinet as opposed to your physical cabinet. And now you understand what a cloud computing constitute in our library space in South Africa. So I will pause here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. The floor is open, but before I open the floor, I just want to ask a question. Does the Gmail Drive forms part of cloud? because most of people, they've got Gmail accounts. I'm not sure if they are well informed that they also got a drive there on their Gmails. So does Simon, the Gmail drive forms part of the cloud while we are
Thank you.
waiting for the floor?
Okay, can I answer? Or
Yes, please.
we are going to take
Yes.
questions thereafter?
Yes, please, you can answer while they are
Yes.
still thinking or
Of other
lifting
questions.
their hands. Yes.
Okay. Remember, we have a Gmail. When we have a Gmail, Gmail belongs to Google. It belongs to Google. And within Gmail, we also have what? A drive that people are not aware of. When you sign into your Gmail account, it gives you a platform whereby you now have access to your drive. You also have a drive where you can save your pictures. You can even save your contact. Okay, let me give you a practical example with our smartphones. Our smartphones of today, you buy a new smartphone and then you sign in using your Gmail account. The moment you sign in using your Gmail account, you will now find your pictures that you took with your previous phone. You now find your contacts that were stored in your previous phone. But you can only access them if you were subscribed to what? To the Gmail as a cloud. Now you start to ask yourself, how did this information come to my new phone? Because I took this picture using what? The old phone. It is now there because of what? Of the cloud. That picture was stored over the cloud. It was not stored in the phone particularly, but it was stored where? In the cloud. That's why now you are able to do what? To access that picture in your new phone. I don't know if I managed to answer you, Nambita.
Yes, you did. Any question from the floor? You can unmute yourself and ask a question or lift your hand. It goes once, twice. Oh, there is a question. I have a work email on phone. That's Lapo that is synced now retired. Would Vodacom assist? Simon?
Okay, remember, the moment you have a work email, it is designed specifically for you so that you can use the work email to do what? To do your work things at your workplace. And the moment you have a work email, you might find most institutions now you have your work email and you also have a cloud separate. Now you are linked to a work email as well as your cloud, but it is not for personal use. It is for work-related activities. But we end up using our cloud work because of the unlimited storage to save our work, our documents, to save our pictures, our files, and so on. So the moment you leave that institution, it means you must transfer your work into your what? Into your personal drive, into your public drive, into your Dropbox, or you can create a OneDrive for yourself. And with OneDrive, last time I checked, they were giving you, I think, 5 gig of storage for free. But if you want to improve, to have extra space, you have to pay for that space. But for first use, they give you 5 gig, and then you can still use that. But for you to have your information, if you are retiring, you must save your work into your personal cloud so that you don't lose your stuff. Thank you.
Any question? We only have compliments that you. All right. Yes, you can go ahead, sir.
My name is Patrick Palanta, connected from Botswana.
Yes.
So I want to know what kind of qualities they can advise me to if I want to buy a computer. Another thing is that I want to know how safe are these cloud platforms so that we can trust and we can store our information without infiltration or the people, they cannot infiltrate our information in that because they are hosted by the third parties. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Simon.
Okay, when you're using the cloud system, there are various ways of ensuring that your data is protected. Number one, you can create a password. And even if you have a password for accessing your cloud, you can also enable things such as your face recognition, your fingerprint recognition. And you can also have what you call the true identifier system so that you can, this is how you can secure your cloud so that no one can access your cloud storage except by you. So it is only you who can access that because you are using what your face recognition to attend to that. But you know, with technology, there are advantages as well as the disadvantages of technology. So when it comes to technology, you know, there are these people who people say they are hackers who can even access such information. But it is rare to find them accessing this public clouds because in most cases, they won't find some of the things that they're looking for. They attempt to access the clouds for these big institutions, not for the individual use, for the big institutions. But I can guarantee you that a cloud is a most a reliable storage that one can use to store their information. It is reliable because of the security that we are now having as the individuals within the LIS sector.
The qualities to buy a computer, Simon did not answer that. There was, he also asked what qualities.
Okay, I think the qualities, they differ based on the kind of, let me say, for example, other people, they are using their computers for various reasons. So that's where the quality comes in. So if, let's say, for example, you just want to buy a normal computer as your personal computer, whereby you are just using it to type your assignments, your school assignments, and then you submit nothing else, then you can just go for any laptop that you come across in the store. But for those who are using computers for multiple reasons, you find that, for example, I'm employed at various institutions. I run presentations across the globe. I'm employed in a certain institution. Like, you are heavily on your computer. You can go for faster computers. And fast computers, now I think we are on i7 for if I'm not mistaken, we are on i7. But with me, I'm using the Intel Core i5, which is fast and reliable. But if you are just using your computer to just type your assignment, then you submit, you can go for any computer. But if you are using your computer for various reasons, then you can go for the fastest computers in the market. You can go for your i5, you can go for your i7. So those are one of the computers that are considered to be fast computers.
Thank you, Simon. Due to time, because we've got 8 minutes left, so I will take one question before we close, if there's any burning question. If not, you can email us. We will reply to your questions, or you can follow us on social media platform to ask any question. So I will just open one more question, then we close. On that note, let me take this opportunity and thank you, our speaker for today, Mr. Simon. Indeed, we have learned a lot from your presentation. It was an eye-opener. We learn a lot, and I'm hoping that our colleagues will take this and share with other colleagues that were not present. We are embracing technology as emerging librarian. And while we are doing that, we are playing a role in social cohesion of in our sector. Therefore, thank you very much for attending our session. We are looking forward to have you in our next seminar, where we'll be narrating AI in libraries, ethics of AI in the LIS sector. Have a blessed day further, and goodbye. Thank you.